Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for watching. Today we're going to do another ammo test, and the bullet that we are going to shoot today is the 115 grain Fort Scott Munitions TUI, which stands for Tumble Upon Impact. And I have one of the bullets right here, and just judging by the shape of this bullet, it definitely looks like it is designed to tumble. And I've never really seen or tested anything like this, so this should be interesting. The gun that we're going to use is my Glock 17 9mm handgun, so that we can get the most velocity out of this bullet and hopefully get the best performance. The ballistics gel that I use, as always, is my 20% Clear Ballistics Gel blocks. Now, these were sent to me by a viewer, and we didn't really talk a whole lot about what it was that he was going to send me, so I was just expecting a regular hollow point. And I was pleasantly surprised when I opened the package and saw these, because I've never really got to shoot anything like this. So before we start this test, there are a couple benefits that I want to get into that a round like this would have over a standard hollow point. Number one is going to be reliability. Now, one of the problems that people have with a lot of hollow point ammo is the large cavity that's on the front of that bullet can sometimes cause reliability issues and failures to feed. This isn't so much a problem anymore with modern firearms. Most modern firearms will cycle hollow point ammo just fine, but it is something to consider. Number two, and this one is very relevant, is clogging. So if you guys have watched any of my other videos, you know that when you shoot a hollow point through clothing or through a barrier or anything like that, sometimes that can clog the cavity on that hollow point and prevent it from performing the way that it's supposed to. So with a bullet like this, you don't have a hollow point cavity, so there is nothing to clog. So these bullets should not be affected nearly as much by clothing and barriers and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see this test, and this should be very interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and set you guys up, and we will get started. Alright guys, I have the Fort Scott Munitions in my Glock 17, and first we're going to test this bullet in bare ballistics gel. So let's see how it does. Alright guys, so this is very impressive in my opinion. The bullet went in right here at the top of the ballistics gel, and you can see here that for probably the first 6 to 8 inches, just had a pretty small standard wound channel, and then about halfway into that gel block, that wound channel dramatically opened up and looks very nasty. Now there's almost no bullet fragments. It looks like this thing completely stayed intact. Continued traveling down our first gel block, left our first gel block, and stopped a couple inches in to our second gel block. And you can see that that bullet is completely intact. It is backwards, which means it was tumbling in our ballistics gel, and looks like it performed very well. And the Fort Scott Munitions TUI stopped at 19 inches into our bare ballistics gel. So really good performance, really good penetration, and a really large wound channel as well. Now it comes down to personal preference on how much penetration certain people want. I know a lot of you guys in the comments always talk about penetration being key when it comes to pistol rounds, and I think that 19 inches is not too much, and for those of you who do prefer a little bit more penetration, this would be a good bullet for you guys, especially because it has a very large wound channel as well. So far, I'm really impressed. Alright guys, before we go, I'm going to do one more test with the Fort Scott Munitions TUI, and the test that we're going to do is the FBI heavy clothing test. Now you can see that there are a lot of bullet holes on that clothing already, but there's a pretty large spot there where I should be able to place this bullet. For those of you that don't know, the heavy clothing test is a thin t-shirt layer, a thick t-shirt layer, a layer of heavy fleece material, and a layer of denim. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, I've done quite a few tests with the heavy clothing kit, and hollow points a lot of the time do perform differently going through the clothing because it clogs the hollow point cavity that's on the front of that bullet. But I think that the Fort Scott Munitions bullet will do fairly well in this test because there is no hollow point cavity. So I'm gonna go ahead and set y'all up, and we will see how it does. Alright guys, so I took the clothing off the front of that gel block so that we could see the entire wound channel. Now the bullet went in below our first bullet, and you can see there that it continued traveling down, and the wound channel started a little bit later in the heavy clothing test than it did in the bare gel test, and it is a little bit smaller, but it's still very large for a pistol round, and still definitely larger than most hollow points that I've tested on the channel. So it continued traveling down, left our first gel block, and went 3 or 4 inches into our second gel block, and you can see that it stopped right there again, turned backwards. So we know that this bullet was tumbling, and again it is completely intact and did not fragment or deform at all. And here's another angle on the bullet that we shot. The reason that I showed you guys the view from the top is because the wound channel from the second bullet is more going side to side in the ballistic gel, whereas the first one that we shot is up and down. So, but both of these bullets had very large wound channels, and you can also see there that the large wound channel did start maybe an inch or two later in the heavy clothing test. And the Fort Scott Munitions TUI through the heavy clothing test stopped at about 21 inches into our ballistics gel. Alright guys, so I know we were able to see these bullets pretty clearly inside the ballistics gel, but I wanted to quickly show you what they looked like now that I've pulled them out. And you can see that these bullets did not deform at all and did not fragment at all and stayed in absolutely perfect condition. Well, that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank the guy who sent me this ammo and allowed me to make this video and do this test. I really appreciate that. I've had a few of you guys now who have reached out and offered to send me stuff to help support the channel, and it means the world to me, and I really appreciate all the support that I get from you guys. It's awesome, so thank you for that. The 115 grain Fort Scott Munitions did very well in my opinion, and I'm definitely impressed. Now I will do another test with this bullet in the future, and probably on the next carry ammo video that I make, I will shoot this out of a Glock 43 and see how it performs out of a shorter barrel. But so far, really impressive. You kind of get the reliability of a ball round with the performance of a really good defense round. And again, the large wound channels that this bullet gave us is rare out of pistol ammo, at least in my experience. So I'm a big fan of it. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up for me. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.